Hey everyone, welcome back to Count Me In. I'm your host, Adam Larson, and today we have an exciting and insightful episode for you. Joining us today, we have Daniel Paik, CEO of Curawork, and a seasoned expert in corporate finance and accounting with 20 years of experience. Daniel challenges traditional views of the back office teams, advocating for them to be seen as value centers, crucial to business and growth. He'll share how improving efficiency, automation, and managing tasks with the right tools can significantly boost your organization's performance. We'll also discuss the importance of visibility in task prioritization and the pitfalls of partial views in decision making. Daniel's real life examples and data backed strategies highlight how clear workload visibility can transform management decisions and enhance project completion rates. If you're looking to dive into your team's efficiency and accelerate business growth, you won't want to miss this conversation. Let's get started. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the Count Me In podcast. And we're going to be talking a lot about the finance team and ways to solve internal problems as we're working through just our daily tasks and stuff like that in the part of this conversation. But I wanted to start in just kind of introducing everybody to you and just tell a little bit about your story, how you got to become the CEO of Curawork and a little bit of your journey along the way.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the podcast. First of all, thank you for the question. It's been something that I did not think of doing or didn't have plans to do. I've been in corporate finance and accounting for the past 20 years. I've been an accountant all the way to CFO, and basically why and how I got here was in finance and accounting, or back office in general, like right, finance, accounting, HR, IT, administrative departments, which are the departments that I managed. I found that there was a big disconnect between back office and the rest of the business. And the biggest disconnect was that the primary goal of business is to grow. But I think the back office, most of us, and I don't want to offend anybody, but we don't have that kind of mindset in the back office. We have more of a process mindset, whereas in sales and upper management, they have a strategic mindset. And I did not even realize this until I became a CFO. And a couple of years into being a CFO, like, why does my team, it does not seem that we're aligned? And the main part was, and what actually got me was, the business would always talk to other departments like sales, marketing, customer service, and say, hey, every year, how do we improve you? How do we make you better? But whenever they came to me, they said, hey, how do we reduce you guys? How do we mitigate your team? You guys are costing too much. And for 20 years, I've been hearing that, not thinking anything of it. And it just dawned on me in the CFO role, like, that doesn't seem fair. But the question is, why is that the case? And I found that the misalignment was the biggest one, and the mindset of process and strategy. Mm-hmm. And so we're always processing, transactional, and we're not really thinking about growth. So we're just thinking to ourselves, oh, this is hard. We have so much work, and we just keep doing work. We get burnt out. All these things happen, but we're probably, I know we're not spending our time in the most wisest way to help the company grow, because we're not thinking in that way. And the business doesn't train you or teach you to do that. And so that's why I actually realized the solution, or the problem, what the real problem was, which was that, and created a methodology and a solution to actually help back office come from being what I call second-class citizens to actually be first-class citizens.
It's an interesting take on that whole side of it. But I like what you're saying when you're saying that a lot of times in the finance and accounting function, it's like you're just about processes and getting the reports done and stuff like that. In a lot of articles that you read about CFOs becoming the business partner, before we kind of get into the methodology and stuff, can we talk a little bit about, how do you help your team stop looking at themselves as the processors and about the growth? Because, the CFO and the higher levels, we're getting to that point where they're becoming the business partner. They're sitting at the table, they're talking about strategy, but how do you help that go down to the rest of the rest?
So it's a great question. And that's what we're trying to solve. Okay. And I think I'm very opinionated, but doesn't mean that I'm right. And I say this all the time. And so I'll tell you my opinions and my experiences. I'm sure there are a lot of people that say, no, it's not always that way. And I agree, it's not always this way.
Yeah.
But I would say in general, even as a CFO, and I worked at small, medium-sized companies, so I don't know about the huge, billion-dollar enterprise companies, how they do. I know parts of it, but haven't done it, so I can't speak to it. But I think for small, medium-sized companies, upwards to $100 million, the CFO doesn't really have a seat at the table. They do, but not as much as I thought that they would, because you're trained your whole entire life to be transactional and process oriented. And all of a sudden you become a CFO, and now you're not even, they don't even expect it. Interestingly enough, you're basically, hey, you've done this much work. You have a lot of experience. I need you to manage this team now to do what you do best, instead of, hey, we need you to change yourself to be more strategic. There's not much conversation around a strategic CFO. I think there's more and more, and I see it on LinkedIn as we realize, oh my gosh, with the age of AI, all of these processes are going to be more and more automated. So now the natural reaction is, well, how do I preserve myself? Well, we have to go into strategy. But what does strategy mean? And I think that's a confusion point for a lot of people. I ask a lot of people, what is strategy to you? And there's so many different ways of talking about strategy. And so people just say, we'll let you answer it, right? Instead of answering it. But I would say strategy in a business side for what we're talking about is simply what we need to do to grow, what we need to do different actually to grow. And that mindset is not even said in businesses, and not even talked about with back office teams. We're so inundated with what we were doing, so busy with the chaos, all of the firefighting that we do. And so it has to come from the top. It has to come from not just CFO, but all the C-suite, to understand, how do we actually bring back office into more strategic roles and strategic thinking, and not just treat them as administrators or admins. I had literally a person, I won't say who, that said, hey, Daniel, your teams are admins. Like my whole team, finance, and it's easy. Why can't you get all these things done? And that just told me the business does not know what we do and the value that we bring. So it starts there, visibility. So I won't go too much into the methodology, but it really starts at visibility to know where we are now, so that we can improve ourselves to be more strategic.
That's a really interesting take, because a lot of times people talk in a very lofty sense of all the theories and all the great ways you can do that. But sometimes these great theories that people bring forth only apply in organizations that are so large that they can afford to do those changes. And a lot of times in small to medium-sized businesses, your CFO is wearing so many hats. It is harder to be that strategic partner. So I appreciate that perspective that you brought forth. I love how you identified all that. So maybe we can talk about, what exactly are we trying to solve? And then from there, we can kind of go into, how do we solve that?
So what we're trying to solve is, really at the high level, transforming your mindset from process to strategic. But what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. So underneath that is, and I'm very practical. We're finance accounting people. We're about ones and zeros and ones, and it's about facts, right? And theory is theoretical, so it doesn't mean that it works, or how to actually apply it. So I'm going to speak more in practical terms. So how do you move from a process mindset to a strategic mindset? What are we actually saying there? We're, in another way, you can say from a cost center mindset to a profit center mindset. Right. That's another way of saying it. And the question then is, well, why are back office people called cost centers? Right. I've never asked this question in the past couple of years myself. And the answer that I came up with, and talking to people, the answer is very simple. We are called cost centers because we spend most of our time on cost generating activities like payroll, month end close, tax, auditing, hiring, reporting, right? These are not profit generating. If I do more payroll, doesn't mean I get more revenue or profit, right? That doesn't make sense. So we're stuck doing a ton of process work or cost generating work. And then the question is, well, then how do I get to strategy or profit generating work? Well, then the question is, what part of your job or your tasks relate to growth, relate to profit and revenue? And there is an actual answer. And the answer is projects. So in any given time in any company, I've yet to find one company go, oh, we don't have any projects. Well, that just doesn't make any sense. So I'll start here. Is business leaders, their primary goal is to grow. And if that's the case, we call that what? Strategic initiatives. And strategic initiatives turn into a portfolio of projects. And then you have one project that you give to a group, a department, a team, a person. And so there's tons of these in a company. I mean, I talk to people and they say, oh, we have a project hopper. I go, how many projects do you have at any given time? And so they go like, I don't know, like 50 to 60. How many do you get done every year? They're like 1, 2, sometimes 0, depending on the year. And so, and there are these projects that are so important. Everybody knows it when you talk about it, and you talk about it every year. And it's been 6 years later, they're still talking about it. And the question is, why can't these projects get done? So I think we're in this world, the businesses are really good at, I would say they're really good at strategy or planning strategy, not so great at executing strategy. And I say that in the confines of the strategy or the projects that are internal, right? Not customer facing like projects. It's more like the internal projects to improve yourself, to improve policies, procedures, to implement like a NetSuite or an Oracle or an SAP, better in automation. And what you find is all of those internal projects planned at the top, execution predominantly back office. Even when I did Salesforce implementations twice in my life, I did ERP many times, and sales had very little to do with the Salesforce implementation. It was literally all my back office teams that did it, right? So the people that actually execute on the projects are back office people. But what we discussed right now, that most of our time is spent on cost generating activities. There are actually two different types. One is your recurring work, payroll, month end close, tax, etc. The second one takes 30 to 60% of someone's entire year, called ad hoc work. We call it firefighting. The daily issues, interruptions, problems that we solve now, because we think, that's the key word, we think that it's urgent and it's a fire. Some maybe, but many of them, we don't think twice. Someone just says, I need this, and you go, and you want to help, right? You're a good person. You're great at what you do, so you help without realizing that there's a third type of work, which is projects, the strategic side, that's sitting there that's probably 10 times, 100 times more valuable to spend time on. But we're always stuck on the first two, the recurring and ad hoc. 90 to 140% is what I find in our assessments with our clients. 90 to 140% of their time in a year is spent on recurring and ad hoc. So therefore, no wonder projects never get done. They keep piling up. So how do we move then from cost center or process to strategic? Simply free up time to do more projects or to strategic work.
So if those things are taking up 90 to 140% of your time, how do you create the time to do those projects that we're talking about?
All right. That is where the secret sauce is.
Okay.
And it's a paradigm shift in how you work. It's not, and when I say that, people go, oh, it's going to be hard. It's actually simple. We do it all the time, but we don't apply it to corporate or office work or back office work. So as an example, when we do marketing campaigns, right, we measure everything. What are we going to do? How are we going to say it? How many are we going to send out? Who are we going to send it out to? Which landing pages do we want people to funnel into? We A/B test it. And there's all of this testing and measuring being done. And that's just marketing, one marketing campaign. We do that for sales. We do that for customer service. But the one function that we don't almost ever do it for, back office, right? So therefore, since we don't measure, we can't improve. There's a famous quote that I'm sure you heard of that Peter Drucker, the father of modern management, said is, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. If you don't know where your starting point is, you don't know if you've actually did better than where you currently are because you never measured it. And the fundamental issue of back office is that we don't measure, so we can never improve ourselves. And therefore, the world never asks, how do we improve you guys? They ask, how do you reduce you? Because we can't show value because we don't measure. So measurement is critical, but not just measuring to measure in itself. It's measuring the fullness, like all of what you do. So there are project management systems, task management systems, work management tools in this world, hundreds of them actually. I would say the number one biggest miss is that they only capture a partial picture of your work. So imagine if you have 100 things to do, but you only capture 20 of them. And so the whole business only knows 20 things that you're supposed to do when you have 80 other things over here. And you're asking the business and the manager and the person to make a decision off of the 20 out of the 80, right? You're probably not going to make the right decision. You're probably not going to be able to prioritize properly. You're probably not going to, and we don't. And therefore, we're always stuck. All this 80% of the work that we didn't measure and capture, well, we have to do them anyways. So hence, we can never again get to the project value added work. Because again, the first two are the more important and more urgent, seemingly, than the projects, when the value is in the projects and the strategic type of work. So it's measuring the fullness or the totality of the work is what it is.
So how do you properly measure the totality of your work without creating way too much more work because you're writing because the way you just described it, it almost felt like you're saying, okay, make sure you write down every little thing that you're doing so that everything can be measured. And I know that's not what you're saying, but maybe we can help clarify that.
Yeah. So it's a really great question. And I think that's where I probably need to do a better job in explaining it in the beginning. So I'm also learning my marketing muscle. I'm starting to use it more. And so words, I'm just so factual and so detailed. I'm not trying to get myself out of it. But anyways, I'm already doing that now. So the totality of your work, if you think about it and you break it down into those three buckets: recurring, ad hoc, and projects. Okay. Recurring work is in and of itself, the definition is measurable. It recurs. True. Right? And therefore, at the end of the day, it's a utilization or capacity, resource capacity on where you spend your time. So your job description, really, the current job description doesn't do anybody really any good. It's so generic. It's like, what is this? And you get into the job and you say, that is not what I thought this was going to be. And you just get inundated, right? And it takes 6 to 9 months for anyone to actually get onboarded. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. 6 to 9 months. And we go, that's normal. Why is that a norm? That doesn't make any sense. And so what we do is we modernize a job description into job deliverables. We say, rewrite your job description into what you deliver. And since it's recurring, tell us how many times it recurs, but how long on average it takes you to do it one time. It's an average. You don't have to be exact. Like bank recs can take 4 hours one month, take 20 hours another month because somebody messed up over there or something happened, right? But we just want to know, what is the average? 8? Well, let's just put 8, right? Because we just want to know in general where you're putting your time and if you're putting their time to the right things. So once you do your recurring, one and done. Takes like an hour, right? The second thing is unplanned. So unplanned is unplanned, so you can't plan for it. You can't say, I'm going to do these things because you don't know what's going to happen. So that's where you just manage the tasks that come in. So you're putting in tasks. And the question is, that seems like more work. But I ask everybody, well, how do you then manage your unplanned tasks today? People go, I put it in my Asana Monday, or I put it in my calendar. Some guy goes, if you can see my 3 monitors, I have 75 post-it notes. So we do spend time managing it. Might as well do it in a standard universal way where you can measure it and you can report off of it. Mm-hmm. There's also so many other studies that show, there's one study that shows that productive hours for an office worker on average, you know what that number is? 2 hours and 53 minutes a day out of 8 hours. Wow. And the question is why? And yes, there's things like context switching, interruptions, you're looking at your Facebook, whatever it may be. My experience and the things that when I've been managing the past 20 years, I would say what they don't say and what they miss, in my opinion, is people are stressed because there's a lack of clarity into work. They don't know exactly what they're supposed to do. And so they're constantly thinking about what they need to do and stressing. It's like a vicious cycle. You stress yourself out because you don't really know what to do. So you're thinking about what you should do and you're trying to self-prioritize. There's a saying, if your manager doesn't prioritize, it doesn't mean that it doesn't get prioritized. Actually, someone always prioritizes it. and it's the in person that actually executes. So if the manager does not help you prioritize, well, the end user is going to make their own decision, think whatever is best, and prioritize themselves. And usually they're going to do the most easiest one, the one that they know, right? But projects are things that they don't know, challenging. You have to think. It hurts your brain. So that even if you have some time, you're going to do the easy stuff, although you know that that's probably more important. So without proper prioritization, you can't do it, but you can't properly prioritize without visibility. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's really, people think, and this is where my marketing side has to come in, is you spend probably 3-4 hours a day, wasted hours, thinking about, stressing about, why do you look at Facebook? Because you're trying to, I'm so stressed, like I need to look at Facebook today, right now, because I don't know what to do. I don't want to do that. I don't know which one to do. So, but imagine if you knew, every day, these 8 tasks needs to be done. What happens? I have seen with my own eyes, and even with my team and our clients, they get all 8 done because it's there. Yeah. We want structure. So it doesn't, time-wise, it may take 30 minutes a day. It seems like a long time. But imagine if you don't do that, you waste 3 hours to 4 hours.
No, I think you really framed it really well in helping people understand, like, hey, if you get some random thing coming at you, you do something with it. Like, and if your whole organization uses like a Monday or Asana, that can be measured. You can use that to measure as well, or some other software. Like, you need to find ways to track those things properly. And I think it's reminding people that you're not doing extra work. You're actually just doing the same thing. Just put it in a place so that it can be tracked and measured, right?
Yeah. And the critical part is full picture, holistic. Yeah. You cannot have partial information and make decisions off of it, right? You can't build a car with partial, instructions, right? Mm-hmm. And if you have partial a view of the what am I trying to say? Screws and bolts and, other parts and pieces. I'm a car guy and I can't think of the word, so what is wrong with me right now? But
gears, but if pistons, all those
it piss exactly. So if you have the full picture and all the schematics, you can do it. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That's how we actually work. But for whatever reason, in the office work, back office, cost center work, we go, good luck. Here we're just going to throw a ton of things at you and make sure you do them all. I'll tell you one hilarious thing, but that's not that hilarious, is that another leader of mine, our team was so overworked, and I said, hey, we can't do all this. I did the math on it. I was like, we would need 4 more people just to stay above water. I go, which ones do you want us to do? Here's the list. And he looks at the list, and you know what he said? He goes, I really need, like, you've actually done it in order. Priority-wise, yes, I agree with your priorities 1 through 5. But we need all of them done. I said, did you not hear what I just said? And he goes, Daniel, you just got to make it work. What? Because I can only show him the top 10, but there was 800 things behind it that he did not see. Right? So what we're building is a way for you have perfect visibility, single source of truth. Because if you have that, instead of saying, why can't you do it? Why isn't this done? Where is this? You told me last week, ... Now you have everything go, our managers, their way of speaking has changed to where, how, why didn't this happen to? What can I help you with? How can I support you on this? Because now they know exactly what's not being done and they know why. Oh, you got 4 more unplanned work that came in from sales. There's a huge fire over there. I see you can't get that done. That's important. Let me do that for you. And so now there's more collaboration, more trust, more autonomy, more ownership, all the good things. So it's been amazing just by visibility.
I mean, that really sounds more amazing, because I feel like organizations constantly go through those struggles. And even when you get new leadership into organization, they say, oh, this is how you're doing the project management. Well, I like doing it this way, so we're going to change to that. And then maybe some new person comes in a few years later and try to change everything around. How do you avoid that, and how can you get people on board? Because when somebody's been doing something for so long, especially long-term employees, or somebody's always done project management a certain way, and they come into a team and they're like, well, this is how we do our project management. How do you build that trust within the organization to have them try these new things to make it more efficient?
No, it's a great question. And I might be a little bit repetitive here, but the reason why, my opinion again, we keep moving from system to system is partial view of work. So what we see, one person comes in, this is my experience, I know this, so I'm going to do it this way because I just know this information. Another person goes in, oh, I had this other thing. We have to also look at that. And so we're going to do that. But imagine if you just had the whole thing. This is what your whole workforce is doing. This is where they're spending their time. This is the capacity that they have to do projects. By the way, your whole workforce or your back office has 2,000 free capacity, 2,000 hours of free capacity. But the system shows the number of projects that you want to complete this year is 20,000. But you only have 2,000 hours of capacity. Well, now you can start asking questions, making decisions on what the real priority is. And if you really want to get all 20,000 hours of project work done, well, you're going to have to hire more people probably, or eliminate all of the unnecessary, less value adding activities and reallocate them to the project work, right? But the whole thing about projects and work in back office, in corporate offices, is the issue is partial view. And we're constantly making decisions on partial views. And so you have a partial view of something, I have a partial view, that person has a partial view. So we're opinionated just on our viewpoint. But if we had the holistic view, I'll give you an example. It's a very unbelievable example, actually, that happened by accident. We were helping a customer, and we did our assessment, and we found that this accounting manager was 140% utilized just on recurring work. Her, you know what she said? She goes, Daniel, I feel so vindicated today. I've been telling the business and my manager, I'm so busy. No one believed me until today. Because now my manager looked at what I wrote on my tasks and the hours, and she went, yeah, that's what you do. That's about how much time. 140%. That's not good. And she's like, I've been asking for help for a year and a half, right? Yeah. And then if you add her ad hoc work, another 40%, that's like 180%. She said, Daniel, I work minimum 2 weekends a month. She's an accounting manager. What is she working almost 7 days a week throughout the whole entire month? That doesn't make any sense. And so they went to the CEO and said, hey, we need a senior accountant. His first words, absolutely not. We talked about this. Your team is not completing all the projects that I want. You actually did 0 in the past 2 years. How can you justify a new hire? And he goes, oh, thank you for asking the question. And now with our assessment, our system, we say, hey, this is what's actually happening. Your team, your accounting manager is 140% utilized just on recurring work. These other 2 accountants are 105, 110%, without even the ad hoc work, if you add 30 to 40% more at least. And so because of that, you have these 11 projects that you want done. We have no time to do them. So if you add this new person and they have it by deliverable, we're going to take the 45% from the accounting manager, 15% from these 2 guys. That's 75% utilization of recurring work for the new guy. So we know exactly what we're paying for. If you do that, we free up 20% of the team's time. They can do 4 out of the 11 projects this year. What do you want to do? His next words, he literally went, well, then hire already, and walked away. For a year and a half, they've been trying to hire somebody, getting help. It took 8 minutes from a no to a yes because of the clarity and visibility into what is actually happening, and it makes sense. Now, if he says no, then you can say, we're still not going to get any projects done, and we're going to be working our butts off, and they may quit. So you make the decision, right? So visibility it unlocks everything. This is why I feel like I have gold in my hands. But I'm trying to help people go, look at this gold, you can have it too. But it's a new way of thinking, new way of working. Yeah, and it's, I think, scary, and change management is always hard for people. So, we're trying to step by step,
little by little, education through podcasts, getting people interested in, hey, let me check out Curawork, check out the link in the show notes, everybody, if you want to learn more about Curawork and what, Daniel and his team are doing there. But it is a complete different mindset. And let's say you're on the accounting team and you're recognizing, hey, if I were to do this thing, I'm probably like the example Daniel gave, and I'm doing 140%, but I know my boss isn't, how would somebody approach that conversation saying, hey, boss, we should check out this system because we're not being efficient in our time? Are there like things that they can do to try to, present to their boss so that they can, start trying to do something like this?
Yeah, you can do it the hard way, so you don't have to use our system. You can do it to Excel. I mean, the proof of concept that I did was Excel, but it took me 4 hours a day to manage it. So you can do that. You can call me and ask me how to do it, but really you're managing your tasks in those 3 buckets and showing visibility into the time and utilization and all the unplanned work and the source. Who is giving it to you? Is it always like 40% sales that's giving all this work? Is it operations? So managing and understanding that into an easy to way digestible report that shows you this is what's happening with me. What do you want me to do? Right. So it doesn't even have to come from management and you do this. A lot of the times we're seeing individual contributors saying, well, I just need to know what I'm doing. I'm going crazy. It's chaotic. No one believes half the things I do. I'm so busy, but then it's just, I just keep getting more and more work. Well, as you start managing your work, you'll understand, oh my gosh, I spend 14 hours a day. I knew I was working a lot, but 14 hours whenever it comes to month end close. This has happened before, like a few months ago. And she was like, no wonder I was about to quit. Like, this is not good. And she brought in the manager and said, hey, this is what my workload looks like. And the manager goes, that's not good. And he goes, whoa, what are those things? Don't even do that. I'll talk to Bob. Right, I'll get that off. And he just started automatically just taking it off her plate because there was visibility. He had no idea she was doing all these other things. So it was just managers. May I say one thing here? So much to say, but when we start working and get into the workforce, we are not taught how to work. And when we try to get to the next level to managers, not taught how to manage. We actually learn by other managers. And dare I say, a lot of bad managers beget other bad managers. And so why do most people go, oh, I had so many bad managers? Well, we're learning from managers that don't know how to manage, right? And so it's trial by fire.
Yeah.
Right. And so what we provide, the reason why, in my opinion, is that workers and managers are not as efficient. It's not because they're bad workers or bad managers. They don't have the right system or methodology or mindset in place. Say this is best practice or leading practice in the general way of how you work. So starting with managers, why is there micromanagement? Because they don't know what people are doing. If you see the things that come out of the mouth, where is this? Why isn't this done? How come you said this on Thursday and it's Tuesday? Where is that? What does that actually mean? I don't know what you have done. I don't know what your plan is. I don't know when you're going to get this done. So, but if you had it, there's no micromanagement disappears. It's eliminated. And it turns, and what takes its place is real management, which is helpfulness, right? Which is helping develop the person. Oh, you have time? Well, you should work on this project because that's going to help you learn how to do ERP implementations. But if you never have time, you're so busy, they're not going to put you on these tasks that help you professionally grow. And so, and going back down to the individual contributors, just having visibility into your work, you can now create reports. You can articulate clearly the value that you bring. You can actually even do ROI. And I won't even get into that because that's a whole nother segment. But you can do ROI of what you do. And you can show at the end of the year, hey, I did this. This is my normal work. I completed everything. When Betty went on maternity leave, I took 40% of her work for 6 months. I completed 4 projects. And this is what we believe the ROI was. How, and it's not even hard. And it's just time management. If you boil it down, managing your time, right? So we just need a methodology, a simple one that's universal, that everybody can use, that you can compare across the board.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like what you're trying to do is help organizations kind of reset the foundation of how they even just run their business. Like you said, certain sides do this, certain side, the back office just focus on this. But if everybody's looking at everything they're doing from that same perspective, your organization will be in a better place in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. This is anecdotal and it's happening now, but doing this, proof of concept with a few teams, 900% increase in project completions. That's 9 years of projects in 1 year. And because of that, their revenues grew 14 percentage points. Not 14% for percentage points from a year-on-year growth of maybe 8-9% to 23%.
Yeah.
And their EBITDA or their profit margins grew 5 percentage points from 17 to 22, as an example. I mean, it's real dollars. We're not just doing this just to make people happier, although that's what it's going to do, but it has huge business impact. Imagine if you could do 900% more projects of what's been on there for 6-7 years and complete them. You free up all these people's time. You have more automation. You're getting all the strategic work done. You're able to expand to EMEA 2 years faster, right? And so it's the back office. I'll say one of the last things here. The back office, we are called second-class citizens, and it's the biggest mistake in this world. The back office, and I'm biased, but the back office, we are called back. We get all the issues. So we actually know 80% plus of all the problems in the company. And we know how to fix them, but we don't have the time. So if you utilize your back office properly, and don't call it back office, call it value centers or something like that, or don't call it cost centers, your company could accelerate growth double, triple than what you thought you could do just with your sales and marketing teams. You should use your whole team to grow your business, not just a part. It's just, what are we doing, right? And they're both very, very important, but one is less value than the other. Underinvested, there's less tools, less innovation, but we need to bring them back and actually show that and tell them they have value and give them the autonomy to show that value.
Well, Daniel, I really appreciate your passion for this, and I agree. And from what I've seen and experienced myself, I can see the need for this, and I really appreciate you sharing it with our audience. And I really encourage everybody to get on and check it out and start thinking about how they work in their organizations.
Thank you. Love being on the podcast. It was great. Thank you again.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.